Imagine the sound of absolute silence. Not the peaceful silence of a quiet room, but the heavy, crushing silence of the Atlantic Ocean, 100 feet below the surface. You are trapped inside a capsized ship. The water is freezing, the darkness is total, and your friends are gone. This is Harrison Okene. In 2013, he became the protagonist of a story so impossible that scientists are still studying it today. For nearly 3 days, the world gave up on him. They were preparing his funeral. But while recovery teams were searching for bodies, a hand emerged from the darkness of a sunken wreck. Today we go inside the Jescon 4. We explore the 60 hours of terror, the miracle of physics that kept him alive, and we will see the actual footage of the moment a dead man grabbed a diver's hand. May 26, 2013. The Jescon 4, a tugboat, was working off the coast of Nigeria. It was a routine job, but the ocean had other plans. At 4:30 a.m., while most of the crew was asleep, a massive rogue wave hammered the vessel. In less than a minute, the ship capsized. Harrison Okene, the ship's cook, was in the bathroom. He described the moment as a chaotic whirlwind of water and iron. As the ship turned upside down, Harrison was tossed into the darkness. He heard the screams of his colleagues as the cabins filled with water. The ship didn't just flip, it sank. It plummeted through the water column until it slammed into the seabed, 30 meters, roughly 100 feet down. Harrison found himself pushed into a small office cabin. As the water rose to his chin, it suddenly stopped. Due to the way the ship landed, a small bubble of air, only about 4 feet high, was trapped in the corner of the ceiling. Harrison was alive, but he was at the bottom of the ocean in a steel cage, with no light and no way out. The first few hours were the hardest. Harrison was wearing only his boxers. The water at that depth is incredibly cold. Hypothermia should have killed him within hours. To survive, Harrison did something brilliant. He found a floating mattress and some tools to build a small platform. This kept his torso out of the water, preserving his body heat. But the cold wasn't his only enemy. The silence was broken by terrifying noises. He could hear the crunching sounds of sea creatures, sharks and crabs, entering the ship through broken windows. He could hear them scavenging. He knew his 11 crewmates were nearby, and he knew they hadn't found an air pocket. He was alone with the dead. He started to pray. He promised God that if he survived, he would never go near the ocean again. He spent hours reciting psalms, his voice echoing in the tiny, damp space. Could you have lasted 60 hours in the dark? Let me know in the comments below with a yes or no. Let's talk about the physics. Why didn't he run out of air? A human needs about 30 cubic meters of air to survive for 3 days. Harrison's bubble was much smaller. However, because he was at 30 meters depth, the air was compressed. This meant there was more oxygen packed into a smaller space. But there was a catch: CO2. Every breath he took released carbon dioxide. Normally this would have poisoned him, but the water around him acted as a scrubber. As he splashed the water in his cabin, it helped absorb the CO2, keeping the air just breathable enough to keep his heart beating. It was a 1 in a billion set of circumstances. 60 hours had passed. On the surface, everyone assumed this was a recovery mission. A team of South African divers from DCN Global was sent down. The diver, Nico van Heerden, was swimming through the narrow corridors of the Jescon 4. He was looking for bodies. He entered the office where Harrison was trapped. Harrison saw the light of the diver's torch reflecting in the water. He reached out. At first, Nico thought it was just another hand of a deceased sailor. But then, the hand squeezed his glove. The shock in the control room was palpable. They told Nico, "Keep him calm. Do not let him go." Finding him was only half the battle. If they pulled Harrison to the surface immediately, the nitrogen in his blood would expand like a shaken soda bottle. His lungs would rupture. He would die instantly. The divers had to put a specialized diving helmet on him and transfer him into a diving bell. He spent another 60 hours inside a decompression chamber on the surface just to safely return to normal atmospheric pressure. His body had quite literally become part of the deep sea. When Harrison finally stepped out into the Nigerian sun, he was a global sensation, but the trauma was deep. For years, he suffered from nightmares where his bed felt like it was sinking into the floor. He kept his promise to God. He never worked as a ship's cook again. Today he is a diver himself. He decided to face his fear and help others. Harrison Okene's story teaches us that hope is a powerful thing. Even when you are 100 feet down, in the dark and the world has given up on you, keep splashing the water. Keep breathing. Because miracles don't just happen, they are fought for. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more incredible survival stories with real footage, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.